Bro1 here, coming at you with a new Yu-Gi-Oh video. And in today's Yu-Gi-Oh video, we're going to be doing a discussion on a new card that was released in Dark Neostorm that obviously isn't that new anymore, but I wanted to talk about it because a lot of people have actually been saying this card is really good, it's really great, but to me, I feel like this card isn't good. I feel like this card its restriction is too much. I feel like it doesn't do enough after turn 1, and I don't like what it becomes in the game. So, without further ado, we're going to be talking about Gnomaterial, a hand trap card that is a TCG exclusive that was released in Dark Neostorm, as I said, and that I personally don't feel is a good card. And I do have reasons for this, but let me read its effect first so I can give you the basic idea of what the card does. So, if your opponent special summons a monster or monsters, while you control no cards, you can discard this card, then target one face-up monster your opponent controls. This turn, that monster cannot be attributed or used as material for a fusion, synchro, exceed, or link summon. You can only use this effect of Gnomaterial once per turn. So, what does this card essentially do? Well, when your opponent special summons a monster, if you control 0 cards, you can target a monster your opponent controls. And that card can't be used for anything anymore. So, how is a card that has an effect that prevents your opponent from using broken combos a bad card? Well, let's get into it. So, the biggest problem of this card is you need to control 0 cards to be able to use this effect. And that is a big issue. So why is having to control 0 cards a big issue, and we all know that there are other cards in the game, but let's talk about why. So you need to control 0 cards to be able to use an effect that will prevent your opponent from using any card in the monster zone or on the field or in a monster zone from being able to be used as a link material, or a fusion material, or an exceed material, or a synchro, or a tribute. I'm just going to go say link because it's the most basic material I'm making of right now. Well, turn 1, this is pretty good, because you will have no cards on board. You turn 1, no cards on board, sure, this card is great. But after turn 1, oh, I went second. I draw this as my 6th card. I've now got a dead card in my hand. I now have a dead card in my hand. I can't use the card any other further turn after because I've got to attempt to establish a board. And by the time I've drawn this card, my opponent already has a board. 1 point. Oh, late game. I draw this card as a brick in the late game. Oh, I can't use this card. Yes, I'm making a point where if you draw it late game or you draw it after turn 1, the card does nothing because you have to control no cards to use it. In the late game, your opponent will already have their board established. It will not help you in the grind game at all. It will not do anything along these lines. It's a card that basically says, if I control no cards, I can do something. But if I control cards, I can't do anything. And now, there are cards in the game that do the same thing, but obviously are a lot better. Evenly matched, for instance. I control no cards at the end of the battle phase. I can activate the effect to banish all cards my opponent controls until they control the same number as me. That's fine, because I can still set this card and then use this effect at the end of another battle phase if I control like 1 card where it's worth it. Impermanence. I have no cards on the board, I target your monster's effect is negated. That's fine, I can still set it to use this effect. But the fundamental difference between these two cards and Gnomaterial is, it can only be used on a special summon, it can only be activated on a special summon, and you have to control no cards to use this card. Now, obviously, you could use Gnomaterial as a link material, you could use it to make a link Kruger, you could set it for backup, for like defense, but Gnomaterial does nothing after that. It doesn't help you advance your game state, it doesn't help you prevent your opponent after that, and it doesn't do anything after that whatsoever. And that's the problem with Gnomaterial. It can only be used on a special summon, which I think is fine. It's a fair restriction. So you're only able to target stuff like Gazelle, or you're only able to use it on cards such as like Gazelle, Nightmare Phoenix to prevent them from going into the Mermaid, a Sky Striker Link monster to prevent them from going to a Suzuku or any other Sky Striker Link monsters. That's fine. Having an effect that prevents your opponent from going into cards after turn 1, I think that's fine. Like, I think that's fine, just being able to prevent your opponent from doing this. But having an effect that says you can't control any cards to be able to use the effect is why this card isn't good in the game. Yes, it's a great side deck card. Being able to go second with this card and drawing it going second can potentially win you the game. But in my personal eyes, I would rather have cards such as DD Crow, Null Nun, Ghost Ogre, cards like these in the side deck that will actually prevent my opponent from doing something or help me advance the game state whenever I want. So DD Crow, you've got a Spinny in the grave. I banish the Spinny. Okay, you can't do anything. Oh, against Orcus, I banish your Orphagel. No, not Orphagel, sorry. I banish your Nightmare that you just put there after summoning it. Gnomaterial prevents them from going into these plays, but it doesn't stop them at all after that. They can still do other things. They can still go into other areas. Sure, the hand DD Crow, as I said, does the same thing. But even stuff like Null Nun. Null Nun, sure, it gives me life points. But the fact that I'm gaining life points after my opponent does something helps me in areas such as time, helps me when I'm in a sticky situation on life points, makes my opponent have to think if they want to go further in this combo to give me more life points or just stop. It makes the opponent think. It makes the opponent to choose, do I want to go further or do I want to stop here to prevent my opponent from having overall bearing life points where they are just able to kill me after. Like, Gnomaterial doesn't do that. Gnomaterial says, you can't use this one card, this singular card, for a link or any type of extra deck summon. And I understand on turn 1 this is good. Against certain decks this is very, very good. Being able to just prevent a Solomon Great player from using that Gazelle to go into a Stalio or into a Balinx, that's great. Being able to stop that Nightmare Phoenix from going into a Mermaid, that's also great. But if they're able to get rid of the monster that you've targeted, if they're able to if they're able to deal with any cards that they've done, or if they're even able to just randomly just play or drew back row after that, Gnomaterial does nothing. Gnomaterial is a card that, yes, can be very good in certain situations, but it's on the level of something like psy-frame Gamma, in my opinion, where Gamma can only be used where you control no monsters, but in this situation, Gamma is better because you control no monster. You can only control no monsters. Yes, you have to play the driver as well, which is a Garnet, but it's better because you can still control cards such as back row. Cards that need to control 0 cards to be able to ever be used. Like, you can only use this effect when you can control 0 cards, and that is my basis on this point, are not good. If you can only use an effect of a card if you control 0 cards, that card is not good. It doesn't help. It can be good in certain situations, but after turn 1, it's going to be a brick. It's not going to do nothing. It's going to help you turn 1, yes, but if your opponent has any back row, then you're screwed still, and it's just a dead draw after that in general. And that's my point in this video. That's the point that I'm making. Gnomaterial just becomes a very bad card after turn 1. It doesn't help you, it doesn't get you into better situations, and it just makes you sit. Cards like hand traps such as Ash Blossom that can be used at any time on like search effects or summon effects is great. Ghost Ogre, it just removes a card on the board. DD Crow banishes a card in the grave. Reaper screws the extra deck. Haunted Mansion prevents the grave. But Gnomaterial, all that does is sit there and let you keep your opponent keep the monster, and that's it. And that's my point. That's my point. I'm not going to go into any more detail on this because I feel like I've put my point across enough. But guys, what do you personally think of Gnomaterial? Do you think it's a good card? Do you think it's a bad card? Do you think my point has swayed you slightly? Do you think I've changed your mind or anything like that? Tell me in the comment section below, or try to change my mind and make me think why it's an amazing card. Why is it broken? Why is it great? It's only good in the side deck, and it's only good turn 1, so I would rather have different side deck cards that can be used all throughout the game. But you try and change my mind in the comment section below, or if I've changed your minds, tell me in the comment section below as well. But guys, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel for more good content, and I will see you guys next time. Robot1, signing out. Later all.